Bruchim habayim. Welcome to all of you, our very special guests, watching this ceremony both here in Lamport Auditorium, around the Wilf campus, at the Grus Center in Yerushalayim, and in locations around the world via live stream. The procession will now begin. Please clear the aisles and join me in welcoming our ceremony participants. Please rise for the members of our rabbinic alumni commemorating their 50th anniversary of receiving smicha, now proceeding down the aisle. Members of the Yeshiva University administration, deans, and vice presidents are now entering the auditorium. They are followed by members of the board and administration of the Elchanan Theological Seminary. Our guests of honor, the Rosh Yeshiva and the president of Yeshiva University are now entering the auditorium.
אשריכם, 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 תלמידי חכמים. אשריכם, 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 תלמידי חכמים. שדברי תורה חביבין עליכם ביוסף. שדברי תורה חביבין עליכם ביוסף.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please give a Mazel Tov welcome to the 2017 class of RIETS Musmakhim entering now. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together.
Baruch Elokeinu Shebran, Vaydai Baruch Elokeinu Shebran, Vaydai Baruch Elokeinu Shebran, Vaydai Ningit Vaydai Ayai Baruch Elokeinu Shebran, Vaydai Baruch Elokeinu Shebran, Vaydai Elokeinu Shebran, Vaydai Ningit Vaydai Ay la 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 la
Please be seated. Welcome, everyone. Please kindly turn your attention to the video screen for a special video presentation. Thank you.
For my entire life, YU was something larger than just the building. It was an idea, it was a hashkafa, it was a way of life. And more importantly, YU and what it represented always meant so much to our family.
I remember when I was young, my father would bring me to the YU Purim and Hanukkah Chagiga. When I was in high school, I would come to RIETS to learn with older guys and friends of mine. It was kind of almost natural. There was nowhere else I would go. I was so associated with the yeshiva my entire life. It was only natural that I'd end up there as a student.
I looked at the Rabbeim, I looked at the communities, I looked at what we're trying to accomplish here with the Rabbeim that are lining our Batei Medrash around the country, and those are the types of people that I want to be.
I chose RIETS specifically, the best decision I ever made, because RIETS is the whole package.
I was always taken by just the incredible relationships that I was able to build with the Rosh Yeshiva, individuals who are incredible giants in Torah, at the same time, incredible leaders in our Jewish community.
I made a real connection with Rabbi Jeremy Leader. He really is so warm and so welcoming and so thoughtful.
I was in Rabbi Koenigsberg's shir for all 3 years.
He shares his notes with me on how to give shir over, on how to give Musar shmoozes, hashkafic shmoozes, an incredible role model, how to act as a Rebbe each and every day.
My Rebbe was Ramosha Tendler. He can take the Gemara and make it somewhat relevant.
I was able to just really learn b'mechitzasam and sit in their shadows and watch the way that they learn, the way that they teach.
They teach you what you have to know, both theoretically and in practice.
Of course, you need to be able to go into the rabbinate with skills, developing the professional side of the pulpit.
I took pastoral counseling classes, Dr. Pelkovitz and Dr. Blumenthal, and I think those were significant because it kind of opened me up to issues in mental illness and a different way of thinking about other people that I hadn't really thought about before.
Public speaking courses, which were phenomenal, very beneficial.
We're all here and we're all graduating and we're all getting smicha, but that's not a stopping point. And I'm sure all of us understand that we need to keep on learning and we need to keep on understanding more and we need to keep on getting better for our communities. That's a constant process, and it's something that we should continually try to work on ourselves to try and be the best people we can be the best rabbis we can be for our communities and for the Jewish people.
I remember watching the last Chag and hearing all the speakers and watching all the Musmakhim walk down and sit there, and there was this real grandeur to the ceremony and kind of wondering what it's going to be like when I'm up there in a couple years. And now that it's actually happening, I have a totally different perspective on what it means to be sitting up there. I've now served in the field for a couple years, and I think kind of having the experience that I've had the past 3 years here makes the Chag a very more real experience for me.
If I could say one thing as we come back together to celebrate this momentous occasion in all of our lives, it would be to look around and to enjoy each other's company. Take those relationships and hold them up and make sure that we continue to develop them and make sure that we continue to be resources for each other. I know that together we will be able to continue to live up to the responsibility of being part of carrying on and transmitting the Masorah to the next generation, to ensuring that we continue to do that with fidelity to the past and with a responsibility to the future.
President Joel, President-elect Berman, Rabbi Lamb, Rabbi Charlap, Rosh Yeshiva, and honored guests, I have the privilege of introducing my chavrusa, my chaver, Rabbi Menachem Penner, Chag HaSemikhah Chairman and Maximilian Grill Dean of the Rabbi Elchanan Theological Seminary. Rabbi Penner.
It's my great pleasure to finally welcome you to Chag HaSemikhah 5777. We gather every 3 or 4 years for this special occasion in the life of our yeshiva and in the Jewish community. Ze hayom asa Hashem nagila v'nismachavo. Today is the 21st day of Adar, the yahrzeit Bo Bayom of the namesake of our yeshiva, Rav Yitzchak Elchanan Spector, the Gadol Hador and Rabbi of Kovno, who died in 1896. A year later, in 1897, our yeshiva was founded by his students to perpetuate his teachings and his love for Klal Yisrael. What an incredible way to mark his yahrzeit today. Bishus President Richard M. Joel, whose heroic efforts on behalf of the yeshiva must be noted today, as he presides over his last Chag HaSemikhah as president of RIETS and Yeshiva University. You, like Rabbi Lamb before you, were tasked to lead yeshiva through some of the most difficult times in our history. We've gotten older and a little bit grayer during this time, but YU has been transformed, literally transformed for the better under your leadership. But one thing hasn't changed, President Joel: your commitment to the mission of yeshiva and to Klal Yisrael. You didn't come here as an alumnus of Yeshiva College. You came because you believed in YU and you cared passionately about the Jewish people. And that runs in your blood today as the day you stepped into office. We salute you and we say thank you to you. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise to say thank you to President Richard Joel. Bishus Rabbi Dr. Norman Lamb, and what a great honor it is to have you with us at this Chag HaSemikhah, as you have been for nearly 5 decades of Chag HaSemikhah celebrations. Not one, but 2 entire generations of rabbis have passed before you on this stage, nearly the entirety of the American rabbinate of today. But today, you're here for another reason. You're here as a proud grandfather of Rabbi Ari Lamb, one of our Musmakhim. And that will make today, unlike the thousands of rabbis who passed before you, but today to have one of your grandsons here is a very, very special moment for all of us. We salute you, Kvod HaRav, and thank you for all that you have done. Thank you, Rabbi Lamb. Bishus, my esteemed predecessors, Rabbi Zvulun Charlap and Rabbi Yonah Rees, it is so special that both of you are able to be here with us to join us on stage. Rabbi Charlap, you too, join us today as a Zaidi, as the grandfather of Rabbi Yechiel Neuberger, one of our Musmakhim. Rabbi Lamb and Charlap are part of a group of 14 RIETS grandfathers and grandsons that are celebrating today. Mazel tov. Bishus all of our anniversary Musmakhim. Bishus the new Musmakhim of 5777 before us. And a special welcome to just a few of the special guests who are here on stage. To President-elect Rabbi Dr. Ari Berman. I believe that the last time you spoke from this podium was during our Chag HaSemikhah, when you were a member of the Kol Elyon under Rabbi Aaron Kahn, and it is great to have you back. We are looking forward to working closely together to continue to build our yeshiva and our community. Rabbi Berman. We are so privileged to have with us Rabbi Shlomo Amar, the chief Sephardic rabbi of Jerusalem, and the past chief rabbi of Eretz Yisrael, a close confidant and friend of Rav Schachter Shlita. We want to thank the Edmund J. Safra Foundation for helping make this possible. A welcome to Rabbi Joel Schreiber, the RIETS chairman, to Rabbi Hai Arbisfeld and Lance Hurt, the vice chairman, and all the members of the RIETS board of trustees who make everything we do possible. To Mr. Alan Fagan, representing the Orthodox Union, to Rabbi Mark Dratch, representing the Rabbinical Council of America. But we also must note with sadness that 3 of our Roshei Yeshiva are no longer with us for the celebration today. We are not the same yeshiva without them. Rav Aaron Lichtenstein Zatzal, RIETS Rosh Yeshiva and Rosh Kollel of the Yeshiva University Kollel on the Grus campus in Yerushalayim, Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat Har Tzion and Alon Shvut, and son-in-law of Rabbi Soloveitchik. Rav Lichtenstein was a giant in Torah, in Chesed, and in humility, who held the Rabbi Henoch and Sarah D. Berman Chair at Talmud at RIETS. Rabbi Gershon Yankelovitz, our most senior Rosh Yeshiva, who passed away at 104 years of age. Rav Yankelovitz learned with the Chafetz Chaim in Radin and at the Mir Yeshiva, both in Mir and in Shanghai during the war. He taught at Yeshiva from 1958 until just months before his Patira, and served as a bridge for our Talmidim to a lost world of Torah. And Rav Yosef Weiss Zatzal, a Musmach of RIETS and a student of Rav Moshe Soloveitchik Zatzal, who taught Yoredeya Isser V'Heter for much of his astonishing 75 years of teaching at the yeshiva. He held the Peretz F. and Frida Friedberg Chair at Talmud at RIETS, and RIETS has since established the Rabbi Yosef Weiss program in Isser V'Heter in his memory. May their memories be a bracha. May their teachings and their lives be an inspiration to Klal Yisrael for many years to come. Their presence is missed, but it is felt through their many Talmidim who sit before us today. Now please join me in welcoming Rabbi Ronald Schwartzberg, Director of the Morris and Gertrude Bienenfeld Department of Jewish Career Development and Placement for the Center of the Jewish Future and RIETS, who will join me in officiating over today's ceremony. Rabbi Schwartzberg.
Thank you, Rabbi Penner, and Mazel Tov to all the Musmakhim. Will everyone please rise for the national anthem, which will be led by cantor Eric Freeman, Associate Director of the Bell School of Jewish Music.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched
Please be seated. It is now my distinct pleasure to call to the podium the president of the Rabbi Isaac Elchanan Theological Seminary and Yeshiva University, the one and only Richard M. Joel, who will preside over our ceremony.
As we go on, you have to sing too, you don't just clap. Bereshus Rabbi Lamb, distinguished Rosh Yeshiva and guests, and Bereshus, the future of the Jewish people. Today marks the fourth and final opportunity I have to address a Chag HaSemikhah as Yeshiva's president. It has been a sacred privilege. Today we celebrate over 130 young men of extraordinary quality and character who I have seen grow in learning and in midos and in professionalism. And today I know that you join me in celebrating the extraordinary Roshei Yeshiva and Hanhala of Yeshivas Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan, whom I have had the pleasure to partner with. In today's celebrants, Yeshiva embraces the continuity of our profound mission of advancing Torah values so as to guide, teach, and lead our people and the world to a better place. Almost 40 years ago, President Norman Lamb stood at this podium and shared the following message: scholarship and piety are necessary, but they are not sufficient. A spiritual person is one whose ideals and practice transcend his self-interest, whose deportment and indeed very presence symbolizes the values of Torah. Years before that, at an earlier Chag HaSemikhah, his predecessor, Dr. Samuel Belkin, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, shared the message that, quote, "There is one thing we must remember always. Just as we have faith in God, and just as we have faith in the Torah of Moses, let us have faith in the Jewish people, in the continuous miracle of its rebirth. Let us have faith in the miracle of spiritual unity between God, His Torah, and His people, which is summed up in the sayings of our sages, Israel, the Torah, and the Holy One, blessed be He, are one. Yisrael v'Oraisa v'Kudsha Bricha Chadhu." And almost 85 years ago, our first president, Dr. Bernard Revel Zatzal, stood at this podium and said the following: "Out of the portals of this sanctuary of the Spirit shall come a Jewish leadership, lay and spiritual, conscious of its unique heritage, striving to develop in this land a Jewish life, culturally creative and spiritually satisfying, based upon the eternal foundations of the Torah, helping our communities to fuller self-expression and richer contribution to the cultural and spiritual values of our society." So I stand here today on the shoulders of those who came before me, and I contemplate what can I possibly add to this discussion, to this continuing conversation. To me, Parshas Kitisa offers a precious perspective on we, both Lei Kodesh and Klei Kodesh, are to lead our lives. A message that has been a defining insight for my life, and I think for that of my wife and children. Perek Lamed Gimel details an amazing, almost otherworldly discussion between Moshe Rabbeinu and the Ribono Shel Olam, culminating with Moshe beseeching God to let Moshe see God's face Hareini noas kvodecha. And God responds, and he says, Vayomer lo sucha liros es panai, ki lo yirani ha'adam v'chai. And he said, you will not be able to see my face, for man shall not see me and live. Vayomer Hashem, and God says, Hinei makom iti, v'nitzavta al hatzur. And the Lord says, behold, there is a place next to me, and you shall stand on the rock. Such a dramatic moment. Moshe wants to see God's face. As close as Moshe was to the Ribono Shel Olam, he was hungry for more. He wanted to see God's face. And God says no. But then God says, stand beside me. Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch explains, Hinei makom iti, there is a place next to me. One and only one point of view exists as the highest goal to be attained by the highest human mind, even for Moses. Only one legitimate point of view, and that is not to try to get a sight of God, but elevated by God and godliness, to look at men and the human condition from a height, next to God, near to God, from God's point of view, to understand and appreciate all men and all conditions of human life. This master insight, the human being is not supposed to see God. It's not our realm. Our goal is to stand beside God. Our role is not to see God, but to see as God sees, and to strive to do as God does. Beloved Musmakhim, hear the message from 4 presidents of Yeshivas Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan and consider them. Be a caring role model. Believe in the Jewish people. Dare to make a difference in the world, and strive to see as God sees and do as God does. V'halachta b'drachav. As Musmakhim of Yeshivas Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan, you've been trained in leadership. You've been prepared to serve as our ambassadors of nobility, spreading the warmth of Torah by constantly fanning its flames. Your actions matter. Your commitment to Torah inspires people and elevates the world. Esther and I are entrusting our children and our grandchildren to you. Partner with them and with all our children to advance the Torah and advance the world. V'chein yehi ratzon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Joel. I now invite you to please turn your attention once again to the video screen.
One of the most important things about the rabbinate isn't the classes you give or the sermons. It's really the opportunity to build connections with people. West Hartford's a really lovely community. It was a wonderful opportunity to come into a shul and continue to build on an incredible legacy that exists in this community, in the young Israel, and expand in that vision. The out-of-town rabbinate is really a full package. It's not just a shul, it's an engagement in education, it's engagement with the broader Jewish community, and it's working to ensure that the important building blocks of any Jewish community exist. So that's a mikvah, an eruv, and of course, kosher food. And one of the things that I stepped into in my time here was to move a historically Jewish store in our area and bring it under total Glock kosher supervision. RIETS impact and shape the future of the Jewish community because they are training the future leaders. One of the things I learned at Yeshiva University was the incredible importance of the federation and the umbrella of Jewish organizations that serve the Jewish community. So we do a lunch and learn at the JCC, open to the entire community. We're welcoming a scholar residence, which we're doing in partnership with the Federation, as an opportunity to showcase Torah to a much broader audience. And thank God, there's been great success. The shul has grown some 20% since I've been here in the last year and a half. And we continue to look not just at physical growth, but as growth in everyone's personal journey and relationship with Judaism, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as a community, and contributing to Klal Yisrael in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have with us today the Chief Sephardic Rabbi of Yerushalayim, the former Sephardic Chief Rabbi of Medinas Yisrael, Rabbi Shlomo Amar, who will offer Divrei Bracha. Rav Amar.
ברשות מוריי ורבותיי, אפשר לומר חג שמח, כי זו שמחה של אמת, חג השמיכה, שהשם זימן אותי. פעם אמר רבי יהודה הלוי, גדול המשוררים, נקראתי ולא נקראתי. נקראתי הראשון עם א', בלי א', מלשון מקראי, הזדמנתי. אבל לא נקראתי באלף, אבל מהשמיים מכוונים. כבוד הנשיא הפורש והנשיא הנכנס, דור לדור ישבח מעשיך. כבוד הגאון הרב חרל"פ, הגאון הרב ויליג, הגאון הרב בן חיים, הגאון הרב מאיר, שיהיה ראשי הישיבה, וכל ראשי הישיבה והרבנים, כבוד המנהל, ועל ראש צבאם, ידידי וחביבי, הגאון רב צבי הרשל שכטר, שיחיה ויאריך ימים. אני בכוונה משתדל להזכיר את הרבנים, כי מה זה שמיכה? סומכים את ידיהם על ראש הרבנים הצעירים. ככל שהרבנים גדולים יש כוח בשמיכה להשפיע לדורות, בעזרת השם תשמשו בתפקידים נכבדים ויפוצו מעיינותיכם חוצה להגדיל תורה ולהאדירה. יש אור החיים בפרשת תזריע, לא מוכר כל כך כי זה מוסתר שם, הוא מקשה קושיה עצומה. חז"ל אמרו גם מה שעתיד תלמיד ותיק לחדש נאמר למשה בסיני. ובמקום אחר כתוב שרבי עקיבא דרש דברים שמשה רבנו לא ידע אותם. איך יכול להיות? כל מה שתלמיד ותיק, ודאי מה שרבי עקיבא מחדש, כבר נמסר למשה איך הוא לא ידע. אומר האור החיים, חידוש, כנראה שרק הוא יכול לומר דבר כזה ברוח קודשו. אומר, כל החידושים שעתידים לחדש מיום מתן תורה ועד סוף הדורות כבר נמסרו למשה. אבל הרי כל החידושים האלה כתובים בתורה שבכתב, בדרך רמז, לכל הרמז הרומז על הארץ. כל התורה שבעל פה רמוזה שם, בתוך התורה שבכתב. השם אמר את החידושים למשה, אבל הוא לא אמר לו איפה זה מונח בתוך התורה שבכתב. וכשרבי עקיבא וחבריו חידשו, החידוש ידוע למשה. אבל הם גם גילו את המקור מתוך התורה שבכתב, את זה משה לא ידע. לפי זה חשבתי, צריך לומר, מה שאמרו כל מה שתלמיד ותיק עתיד לחדש, מה יש לו לחדש? לכאורה זה לא חידוש. אם זה על החיבור, הרי זה לא נאמר למשה. מאיפה זה יצא, זה לא נאמר למשה. אלא מה עצם החידוש? אז מה זה עתיד לחדש? הרי זה כבר נאמר למשה. בעל כורחנו צריך לומר שהחידוש הוא לנו, למחדשים. למשה זה כבר ניתן, אבל אנחנו לא ידענו את זה, זה משה לא גילה לנו. יש לנו כוח לחדש בשבילנו ובשביל בני דורנו. אז לכאורה גם הגילוי בתורה שבכתב, גם זה כבר נכתב, אבל זה לא נקרא שכבר יצא לעולם. זה עדיין חדש. מדוע? כי התורה נבראה 974 דורות לפני בריאת העולם. ושם השם רמז בתוך התורה שבכתב את כל התורה שבעל פה, אבל עוד לא יצא לעולם. החידושים שהשם אמר למשה, שהוא ילוד אישה, שהוא אדם שנברא בעולם, זה כבר יצא מן הכוח אל הפועל. זה כבר לא חידוש, רק חידוש כלפינו. ההמשך של השמיכה, המעלה שלו היא לא בחידוש. המעלה שלו היא בהמשך. אנחנו שלוחים של הראשונים. אנחנו לא סמוכים. אין לנו המשך של שמיכה, כפי שכותב הרמב"ם, כפי שכתבו כל גדולי הדורות. ניסו לחדש את השמיכה בימי רבי יעקב בירב, רבו של מרן ורבו של המביט. הוא בא מעיר פס שבמרוקו ולימד תורה את מרן בצפת ורצה לחדש את השמיכה, אבל לא עלתה בידינו. ואנחנו שלוחיו דקמאי עבדינן, עושים שליחות. יש פה איזה עניין שאנחנו לא מחדשים. השמיכה היא לא לחדש, השמיכה היא להמשיך. אם לא תדעי לך היפה בנשים, צאי לך בעקבי הצאן, וראי את גדיותייך. אתם היפים והמשובחים שבציבור של עם ישראל, שהיום אתם זוכים להיות נסמכים מפי גדולי החכמים, ראשי הישיבה ורבניה. צאי לך בעקבי הצאן, תלכו בעקבות הראשונים, אל תחפשו דרכים חדשות. וראי את גדיותייך, כל אחד יהיה רועה נאמן לקהילה שלו, לצאן שלו. הלא תראו, מי לנו גדול ממשה רבנו? מה הוא נקרא? רעיה מהמנה, רועה נאמן, ממשיך את התלם. השם יברך אתכם ואת בני משפחותיכם. תבורכו ויבורך כל בית ישראל בגדלות שלכם, בתורה שלכם, ונזכה לביאת המשיח ותתחדש השמיכה במהרה בימינו, אמן.
As we are honored with this special opportunity to have the Chief Sephardic Rabbi of Yerushalayim celebrating with us here today, we want to take a moment to acknowledge the 5 Sephardic members of our Chag HaSemikhah class. Rabbi Moshe Aziz, Rabbi Dan Cohen, Rabbi Yosef Venuzu, Rabbi Simon Tov Yanetz, and Rabbi Yosef Yanetz receiving Yadin Yadin Smicha. I'm now very happy to introduce to you the chairman of the RIETS Board of Trustees, Rabbi Joel Schreiber, who will share thoughts on this momentous occasion and also will present the members of the 50th anniversary class. Rabbi Schreiber.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our triennial Smicha convocation, celebrating the achievements of over 130 young Musmakhim. Let me note that we've had a wonderful program, we're going to have a wonderful program, and we've asked all our speakers to be direct and concise. I'm reminded of the well-known story of George Bernard Shaw being invited to speak and being told that he was allotted 8 minutes. How can I relate all that I know about English literature in 8 minutes? The reply was, speak very slowly. I will try to be brief. Today marks the yahrzeit of our namesake, Rabbi Elchanan Spector Zatzal, and in his schus, we have achieved the bracha of Admeya v'Esrim Shana, till 120 years, plus one. We mark the 121st year of this great yeshiva, the jewel in the crown of Yeshiva University. Our debt to those who have made this day possible is difficult to express. To our world-class, outstanding Rosh Yeshiva, who have nurtured these men and have passed on a Masorah that reaches back thousands of years. To those who think that the past is dead and that we must reinvent our traditions and our values, I believe that it was William Faulkner who famously said, "The past is never dead. It's not even past." How true in Yahadus, where the past and the future are joined in the present here in this very room today. Our thanks are extended to our devoted president, Richard Joel, and to our indefatigable dean, HaRav Menachem Penner, who is outstanding in so many ways, as well as to all the staff who have labored to make this day a special one. I cannot help but note that this Chag HaSemikhah, as has been noted, is the last one that our president, Richard Joel, will attend as our president. On behalf of the Board of Trustees of RIETS, I thank him publicly for 15 years of devoted service to our great yeshiva. The love he has displayed for our Talmidim, his constancy in the values of our tradition, the enthusiasm and joy he displayed at all of our programs, whether Yache Kala, Student Malava Malka, even a Kumsitz. Most of all, his faithfulness to cause, his passion to create, and as he would say, ennoble another generation of educated men. Our yeshiva, and for that matter our university, has reached a higher level of education than when he entered our halls. I personally thank him for his friendship and advice and counsel, and I wish him and Esther much joy and nachas as he enters a new stage in life. We are honored to be able to bestow honor upon two exceptional men who each in his own way epitomizes what Yeshiva Elchanan represents. HaRav Hershel Schachter Shlita, Rosh Yeshiva and Rosh Kollel par excellence, who celebrates his 50th anniversary of teaching Torah to our students, as well as to communities around the world. And Rabbi Julius Berman, an outstanding and distinguished communal leader, as well as confidant and Talmud of the Rav Zatzal, who has played a major role in ensuring that the Torah of the Rav be made available to all, especially future generations. Time does not allow me to list the many organizations that he has led. But on a personal note, although both recipients were my classmates, would you believe it, 60 years ago, Rabbi Berman, Julie, was my chavrusa and is still my dear friend. I will never forget those wonderful years together in yeshiva and will always be grateful for them. This great yeshiva is not only important to our Musmakhim, but to the entire Jewish community, here and abroad. Our Musmakhim and graduates serve and affect the lives of tens of thousands of our brothers and sisters across this country and abroad. If we were to compare it to a great tree with its roots extending to communities across the world, imagine if that tree did not exist. Its roots withdrawn, the effect that it would have on communities, yeshivot, rabbis, teachers, communal leaders, and the continuation of our Masorah for generations to come. That is what our Board of Trustees endeavors to support, what our Musmakhim create and represent, to ensure that what we inherited from the last 1,000 years will be continued for another 1,000 years, nothing less than that. For that mission, we must recreate those leaders for our future. Sitting before me are leaders of tomorrow. I do not know which of you will rise to what heights, but I know without a doubt that amongst this group lies greatness, men who leave the confines of our Beit Medrash and enter the world at large with the goal of Es Achai Anochi Mavakesh, seeking to serve our brothers and sisters wherever they reside. One final thought from one who has sat in the very same seats you are sitting in right now, but has added just a few years of experience, if you know what I mean. One of my favorite Mizmorim in Tehillim is Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos. It contains what I believe is a beautiful and prescient instruction to you. Lahagid baboker chazdecha ve'emunoscha baleilos. In the morning, David HaMelech refers to chazdecha, but in the evening, he speaks of emunoscha. There's a lesson to be learned here. In the morning, with the sun shining, a new fresh day beginning, that is a chesed that we must recognize and appreciate. You are beginning your day, your lives. It is the morning of your careers, your hope for the future. This is a chesed that has been bestowed upon you, and you must appreciate it. But in life, there are leilos, times that may be difficult, where one is tested, faced with problems that are not easy to solve or deal with, communal and personal as well. It is then that we require the emunah, that core belief that carries us through the night so that we emerge into a new bright morning once again. May the years that lie ahead bring many fresh and bright mornings and few leilos to you, so that you may continue that great chain of Masorah that you have received at our great yeshiva, Yeshiva's Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan. Mazel tov to you all. In that vein, I have an enjoyable as well as awesome task to perform now, to welcome those Musmakhim that are celebrating this 50th anniversary of receiving smicha here at RIETS. I will ask each of you to rise and be recognized by all assembled here. Will the representatives on stage, HaRav Hershel Schachter, HaRav Yitzchak Cohen, and Rabbi Dr. Salman Rybeck, please come to the podium. Will the following in the audience please rise and accept our congratulations? Rabbi Murray Hochberg, Rabbi David Radinsky, Rabbi Menachem Meir, Rabbi Stanley Kupinski, Rabbi Charles Shear, Rabbi Marvin Goldman, Rabbi Gary Pollack, Rabbi David Winter, Rabbi Dr. David Berger, Rabbi Herbert Amster, Rabbi Gerald L. David, Rabbi Howard Gershon, Rabbi Nachum Burlap, and Rabbi Red Edelstein. I will read from a certificate that will be presented to each of you after the collation. Before I do, may I wish you the bracha found in the last lines of that very same Mizmor of Tehillim. Od Yenuven B'Seva, D'Shenim B'Rananim Yiyu. Having reached what I euphemistically refer to as the golden years, may you bear new fruit, still full of life, still fresh, and still proclaiming and appreciating the wonders of Hashem. Mazel tov to you. You will receive the following certificate. In celebration of 50 years of dedicated and inspirational leadership, and upon the recommendation of the Anhola and Board of Trustees, the Rabbi Isaac Elchanan Theological Seminary recognizes each one of you, our esteemed rabbinic alumni. In testimony thereof, this certificate is granted on the 19th day of March, 2017, Kaf Aleph Adar, Tuf Shin Ayin Zion. Mazel Tov to everyone.
Please turn your attention back to the video screen.
I grew up in a rabbinic family. My father's a rabbi, my mother's father was a rabbi, and I guess it was always natural that I'd go into Talmud Torah, go into learning in some respect, and I came and checked out Penn for Shabbos and kind of saw, wow, what kind of meaningful, important work we could be doing. It kind of shifted what kind of rabbi I wanted to be in a very different direction. It's teaching, it's interacting with people, it's giving shiurim, it's answering questions, it's just generally helping people, and it's a lot of fun. And there are a few jobs that I know of where I feel like every part of my talents, all of my personality, everything I am is being utilized in the job. The most important training I think I got at RIETS was just interacting with my rebbeim there. They kind of served as role models for me of what it would be like to teach, to answer questions, interact with other people. One of the classes that I took as part of my professional smicha requirements that has proved helpful on a daily basis was public speaking. It was kind of thinking, oh, there are skill sets you can learn to do this better. The people who are good at it actually know certain things, and that may not just be intuitive, and you can learn how to do it and be much better at it. I have a lot of akar satov to RIETS, and I still look to it as my home in many ways, and I still really am very thankful for everything it gave to me. I still very much look to Rav Rosenzweig as my main Rebbe. I've called him many times when I'm going through difficult things I need some advice for. I think the fact that RIETS is known as a place of Talmud Torah, with rebbeim of the highest caliber, that I think is so important to the community. And it needs to be important to the community, that they know that this is something that belongs to everyone, that we know our Talmidim can go and get high-level Talmud Torah and still be part of our community. We, RIETS Musmakhim, should play a role in what happens next. I think when we were students in Smicha, we kind of watched what happened and we'd react to it and talk about it. We're now going to be the rabbis and one day the leaders of the Jewish community. And that means we can't just be reactionary. We have to start taking responsibility for the Jewish community. And we have to start really figuring out what's going to happen next, what the world's going to look like next.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to recognize this year's special award recipients. President Joel and Rabbi Penner, will you please join me at the podium? Our first award recipient today, Rabbi Julius Berman, will be presented by Rabbi Joel Schreiber, Chairman of the RIETS Board of Trustees.
Joel, here. Here you go, here you go.
I can do it by
Push in Joel. Here you go.
President Joel, I am honored to present Rabbi Julius Berman, Chairman Emeritus of the RIETS Board of Trustees, for the Eitz Chaim Award.
Beautifully done, again. Okay. Come a little closer. I don't bite. That's it. Yes, you can. No, you stay here. Stay here with him. You can correct him. Rabbi Julius Berman, you have spent your life championing the causes of the Jewish people. As an attorney, you've utilized the nobility of the law in order to save, to protect, and to enrich our people. your dedication to the vitality of the Jewish people as one of the most active leaders in Jewish communal life in America for decades is extraordinary. But the Eitz Chaim Award, our yeshiva's most prestigious honor given to a lay leader, affords us the opportunity to recognize the greatest description that we can have of you, a lifelong Ben HaYeshiva. Born to Rabbi Henoch and Sarah Berman in Hartford, Connecticut, you were among the first graduating class of the Yeshiva of Hartford. As a graduate of Yeshiva College and a Musmach of RIETS, you have sought to advance the lives of those around you. You're a graduate of NYU Law School, first in your class, who eventually became senior partner in the law firm of K. Scholler. You have served in countless leadership capacities, among them as president of the Orthodox Union, president of the National Jewish Commission on Law and Public Affairs. You chaired the Conference of Presidents of major American Jewish organizations, were past chair of the American Zionist Youth Foundation, and continue to chair the Conference on Jewish Material Claims Against Germany, among others. Your life has been one of altruism and commitment, a role model for so many. You've lived that life of altruism, and in so doing, have modeled a life of Mesiras Nefesh as well. Your partner in life, Dottie, is a magna cum laude graduate of Stern College for Women with a master's degree in education from our Furkauf Graduate School. She has shared your passion for improving yeshiva and improving the Jewish world. Together, you've raised 3 Yeshiva University alumni in Zev and Judy, Myra and Simcha, and Ellie and Miriam, and many YU grandchildren as well. You are elated, as we are, by their achievements and who they have become. But wherever you served, your focus never strayed from our yeshiva. You serve on Yeshiva University's Board of Trustees and chaired the board of the yeshiva, the RIETS board, spending more than a decade spearheading its success. Under your guidance and leadership, the yeshiva has attained an affluence of influence around the globe through your championing the professional rabbinic curriculum, supporting the establishment of Junesman, supporting the establishment of the growth of multiple kollalim within the yeshiva and around the world as well. As you extended the legacy of your parents in establishing the Rav Henoch and Sarah D. Berman Chair in Talmud, occupied for so many years by your dear friend Rav Aaron Lichtenstein Zatzal, you shared in the Torah of Eretz Yisrael. Shaping your life and continuing to do so is your intimate relationship with your Rebbe, the Rav Zatzal. One of the many people who consider themselves a Talmud of the Rav, you lived that description and earned that description, serving as a profound confidant. Central to your being is your tireless efforts to share the Torah of the Rav. Julie, you look to the Rav, to the Masorah, to guide you on your path in life. This is what has fueled and focused you to lead so many venues that advance the Jewish world. Your love of the yeshiva is unmatched, and your leadership has been instrumental in shaping the yeshiva into a world-renowned center of Torah. It is therefore my honor, on behalf of Yeshivas Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan, to bestow upon you the Eitz Chaim Award for your unwavering and continuing commitment to the Jewish people. Mazal Tov. Ladies and gentlemen, Rabbi Julius Berman.
Before I start, I want to make one correction. I was not born in Hartford, Connecticut, and that makes a difference in my life. I was born in Europe. I'm a Kalta Litvak, and I'm proud of it. Mo Shiv Hashem Kol Takmilohi Oloi. How can I thank and repay God for all his goodness to me? It was early 1977, a bit over 40 years ago. Yeshiva had a new, young president at its helm, although, considering the financially precarious condition of the institution at the time, there were moments when he must have felt a kinship to the captain of the Titanic. The new president, Rabbi Dr. Norman Lamb Shlita, was participating in a critical meeting to discuss the future of Yeshiva. The meeting was taking place in the law office of the late Herbert Tenzer, the then chairman of the Yeshiva board. As you can well imagine, the mood in the meeting was quite somber. In the midst of the discussion, there was a knock on the door, and Herb Tenzer's secretary came into the room and passed a note to him. He read it and handed it to Dr. Lamb. Dr. Lamb read the note and instructed the secretary to bring him in. The door opened, and in came the Rav. The Rabban Shel Yisrael, Moreinu Rabbeinu, Rav Yosef Dov Halevi Soloveitchik, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. The Rav was invited to sit down and given the floor. In his inimitable fashion, the Rav started off by referring to the creation of the world as reflected in the Torah at the beginning of Bereshis. The Rav pointed out that the Torah repeatedly states in the course of creation that Vayar Elokim ki tov, and God saw that it was good. And then finally, in noting the conclusion of the creation, after 6 days, the Torah states, Vayar Elokim es kol asher asah v'nei tov ma'od. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. The Rav asked a simple question. Is it really necessary for Hashem to look back to his creation and conclude that, quote, it was good, end quote? Could it really have been otherwise? Is there a suggestion here that God may have, of his own free will, created something and then turned around and said that he had, if one could be so bold as to use the phrase, goofed? The Rav went on to answer his own question. Obviously, there was no real issue as to whether what God had created was good in his eyes. In his eyes, it could not have been otherwise. But God was teaching us a lesson as to how we as simple human beings should relate to our own past activities during life. Normally, when we look back at our actions during the year, there's a tendency to focus upon the defects or deficiencies in our performance with the hope that we can correct them by resolving to do better in the future. However, pointed out the Rav, there are times in one's life when one should, upon reflection, focus upon the positive aspects of one's past activities. Not only Hashem, but every human being has the right and indeed the duty, to reflect upon one's past activities and acknowledge achievements and accomplishments. And that is what God taught us when he bothered to look back at his own creation and judge its merits. The Rav then went on to discuss all the good that had been and was being accomplished by Yeshiva over the years. And then he personalized the presentation to talk about what Yeshiva had meant to him personally, having given him a platform to promulgate, as it were, his Torah, his Kedushim, his approach to life itself, as only the Rav could do. Some years ago, if I recall correctly, in a pre-Pesach shiur in 1955, the Rav referred to the issue of Hakaras HaTov as it related to the events surrounding Yetzias Mitzrayim, and emphasized that the concept was by no means optional. The Rav pointed out, quoting the Chinuch, Mitzvah Lamed Gimel, Royul Adam Shiakiru V'Yigmul Chesed L'mi She'asa Imo Tova. It is fitting for a man to acknowledge and treat loving kindness to the person who treated him with goodness. V'lo yeh novel u'misnakir kfuya tova shezeh midoro b'tachlis lifnei Elokim v'Adam. And he shall not be a scoundrel, an ingrate, for this is an evil quality utterly vile for God and mankind. It is in that vein, as a makir tov, and not chas v'sholem as kfuya tova, that I stand before you today and acknowledge all that the yeshiva has done for me personally, as well as for my extended family. To be educated and indeed allowed to develop as a ben Torah within the Dalet Amos of this institution is a chesed beyond compare. I and so many others sitting here today, and well beyond those environs, owe the yeshiva and all that it represents an eternal debt of gratitude. Whether we had the personal schus of sitting at the feet of the Rav Zatzal, or of his Talmidim, or of the Talmidim of his Talmidim that grace the stage today as Rosh Yeshiva, continuing to transmit the Rav's Torah through the ages. We will always recognize what Yeshiva has meant to us and to the future of Yiddishkeit. I want to also express my hakaras hatov to the Yeshiva for the tremendous chus to be honored here today with Rav Hershel Schachter, who is most deservedly being presented with the Aluf Torah Award in the name of our Rabbi, Rav Yosef Dov Halevi Soloveitchik Zatzal. Rav Hershel, Mazel Tov. But that is not all that I need to publicly acknowledge at this time. Subsequent to my full-time stay in the yeshiva, something occurred to me personally that added a totally new dimension to my very existence. I received a telephone call around 50 years ago informing me that the Rav wanted to speak to me. That call was from the Rav's daughter, Rebbe Sintova Lichtenstein. Before going on with this story, and as much as this is the first Chag HaSemikhah since the P'tir of HaRav Aaron Lichtenstein Zatzal, who was the first recipient of the coveted award named in memory and in honor of the Rav Zatzal, I cannot let this moment go by without at least mentioning how much I, my family, and all those that learned so much from Rav Aaron miss this Torah giant, a man whose profound brilliance and whose breadth and depth of knowledge was matched only by his sterling character. Yehei Zichro Baruch. Returning to the story, the Rav then posed a legal issue that troubled him greatly and needed to be resolved, requesting me to handle it, which of course I did. Similar calls then followed. Then sometime later, the Rav called and informed me that he had decided to start publishing his drashas in unpublished manuscripts, and that he wanted me to handle the legal issues involved and to act as his representative in future activity along that line. We all know and benefit from the results of that momentous, indeed historic decision by the Rav, allowing thousands throughout the world, now and forevermore, to join the unique core of Bnei Torah, that consider themselves Talmidim of the Rav. I feel extremely fortunate and will be eternally grateful to have been given the opportunity to play a small role in this individual endeavor and an invaluable endeavor. In closing, as this day is dedicated to the new Musmakhim, I ask each of you as you go forward and utilize the learning that you obtained within the Beis Medrash here and your natural talents in a variety of ways to both remember and continue this great tradition of those that brought you to this stage in your lives. L'hagdil Torah u'l'hadira. Thank you.
Please turn your attention back to the video screen.
I am very fortunate to be a Rebbe at the Torah Academy of Bergen County.
At Frisch, I teach Gemara to 9th graders and 12th graders.
And I love the students. My baseline of being a Rebbe to spread that absolute love of Torah, which is the greatest gift we have.
And when I looked up to my Rebbeim, I saw just a sense of sincerity, a sense of authenticity, the ability to really connect so deeply with so many people. And I saw my Rebbeim, and those were the role models that I had, and those were the paths that I wanted to follow.
And the beauty of RIETS is that it's an incredible place to learn how to be a Rebbe. They teach you a love, respect for learning, teach you how to package it, how to deliver it, how to give it over, how to make it relevant, how to make it meaningful.
Our country is lined with Musmakhim from YU. If you go to California, or you go to Dallas, Texas, or you go into Vancouver and around Canada and into Chicago and into Florida, it's just provided our community with so many unbelievable leaders that I aspire to be one day.
Anything I aspire to be, the base, the foundation, is in RIETS. Being part of the Chag HaSemikhah and finally culminating all the studies is an incredible honor. I was taught incredible Torah knowledge, incredible Torah values, Torah hashkafas in a clear, concise, balanced way. The responsibility is to share that with others.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next award recipient, HaRav Hershel Schachter, will be presented by Rabbi Hai Arbesfeld, Vice Chairman of the RIETS Board of Trustees.
You got it? Okay. Mr. President, I am pleased to present Morenu V'Rabbeinu HaRav Hershel Schachter, Rosh Yeshiva, Rosh Kollel in RIETS, Marcus and Adina Katz Kollel, and holder of the Nathan and Vivian Fink Distinguished Professorial Chair in Talmud for the HaRav Yosef Dov HaLevi Soloveitchik Zechron Revacha Aluf Torah Award.
Thank you, sir.
In conclusion, come, Rav Schachter, a little closer. HaRav Hershel Schachter, I hardly know where to begin. You bring the rigor of Talmud, the prodigious knowledge of Kol HaTorah Kula, the open warmth of a Rebbe, the courage of a posek, and the understanding heart of a gentle man to enrich our world. As a Talmud Muvak of the Rav, much of what you teach others is your understanding of the legacy of the Rav. How appropriate that your yeshiva honors our Rav Muvhak with the conferral of the HaRav Yosef Dov Halevi Soloveitchik Aluf Torah Award. As we recognize you on the 50th anniversary of your serving as a Rosh Yeshiva and celebrate you at this Chag HaSemikhah, we invite our young Musmakhim to savor and anticipate how they can impact on the world. As the son of Rav Melech Schachter and Rebbe Sinclair Schachter, Zichronam Livracha, you were raised in a home of Kedusha and Yashrus, tremendous ethical sensitivity, and a home filled with learning. At age 22, as a graduate of Yeshiva University High School and Yeshiva College, you became assistant to the Rav, while concurrently working towards a master's degree in Hebrew literature from the Bernard Revel Graduate School and Smicha. At the age of 26, in 1967, you then became the youngest Rosh Yeshiva at RIETS. You filled the halls of Yeshiva with sanctity, while sensitively nurturing and developing many Talmidim into Rosh Yeshiva and communal leaders. In addition to being a Magid Shir par excellence, with almost 5,000 shiurim available on YU Torah, 5,000 shiurim available on YU Torah. You have written over 100 articles and books, providing the world with your own precious Torah insights. Many visit yeshiva to meet with you. As one of the nation's premier poskim, you help others through addressing complex shilas and resolving pressing conflicts. Yet the people who know you and learn from you see that you are exceedingly sensitive, extraordinarily humble, and are an exceptionally warm man. 50 years ago, you assured your destiny by marrying Shoshana, who has partnered with you in all aspects of your world, shared your investment in this yeshiva, and has showered love on its Talmidim. And together you've built the Schachter legacy. Aviva and Dadi, Aliza and Moshe, Yosef, it's like reading fast, but lahavdil. Aviva and Dadi, Aliza and Moshe, Yosef, Aryeh and Chani, Yehudis and Akiva, Yafa and Tani, Yomi and Shoshana, Shevi and Eli, Shai and Rina, Shira and Aaron, and your grandchildren, who, thank God, are like the stars of the sky, too numerous and illustrious to count. All of them together shine brightly, enhancing both of your lives. You have often described how the Rav, living in a post-war era where so much was lost, had a burning desire to spread as much Torah as he could. Rav Schachter, it's clear that you've learned well his lesson of Harbatzos Torah. Despite all of your personal achievements as a scholar, teacher, and global posek, you model humility and retain an unassuming disposition. You empathize with those in distress and act to redress the plights of the downtrodden. You delight in the joy of others and share in the sorrow of your brethren. You are able to see the world through the spectrum of your tears and the sunshine of your laughter. Rav Schachter, we recognize you for advancing the Jewish world through the core of our vital Masorah, blessed and bound by a timeless and textured legal system, the halachic process, in modeling the values of our yeshiva, for being a guide to our Musmakhim, and for producing both Klei Kodesh and Lei Kodesh of the highest order. We celebrate all that you have accomplished thus far. It is therefore my profound and personal honor, on behalf of Yeshivas Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan, to bestow upon you the HaRav Yosef Dov Halevi Soloveitchik Aluf Torah Award. Mazel Tov.
ay ay yamim al yemei melet taisim shnei sabke moedei bada yamim al yemei melet taisim shnei sabke moedei bada ay yamim al yemei melet taisim shnei sabke moedei bada ay yamim al yemei melet taisim shnei sabke moedei bada ay yamim al yemei melet taisim shnei sabke moedei bada yamim al yemei melet taisim shnei sabke moedei bada.
The very special plaque reads as follows. Would have preferred Rav Amar got to read the Hebrew, but Yeshivat Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan mitkabedet bazel lahanik l'rosh hayeshiva Morenu v'Rabbeinu Hagaon Rav Yosef Dov Halevi Soloveitchik Zatzal et hatoar Aluf Torah Odpa mitkabedet bazel lahanik l'rosh hayeshiva Morenu v'Rabbeinu Hagaon Rav Tzvi Schachter Shlita et hatoar Aluf Torah Hamukdash lezichro shemarenu v'Rabbeinu Hagaon of Yosef Dov Halevi Soloveitchik Zatzal. La'ot hokara v'ha'aracha rabba al manhiguto, mesiruto, hanhagato utzniuto, b'kishrono ha'atzum v'hanifla b'chol machmanei ha'Torah b'meshech 50 shana b'yeshivatenu b'frat u'ba'olam ha'yudi b'chlal. Tachat manhigato והנהגתו נתחנכו וגדלו לתהילה ולתפארת בכל חלקי התורה והחיים אלפי תלמידים המכהנים כיום בקהילות ישראל ברחבי אמריקה, בארצנו הקדושה ובתפוצות העולם המרימים את קרנה של התורה, המוסר והיהדות. גאוניותו בתורה, במידות ובצניעות נמצאות בשורה אחת בכותל המזרח של גדולי עולם שאמריקה זכתה במהלך הדורות. רבינו ומורנו שליטה מחבר את גלות אמריקה לארץ הצבי ומשמש כתל תלפיות שהכל פונים ושואלים לפסקיו והנהגותיו לדעת ללכת בעקבי הצאן של כלל ישראל. התייחסותו לקטן ולגדול בסבלנות אין קץ נודע לשם ולתהילה. זכה רבינו להיות דבוק בתורתו ובהנהגותיו של אביו הגדול הגאון הרב אלימלך שכטר זצ"ל, מראשי ישיבתנו במהלך עשרות רבות של שנים, וברבו הגאון המופלג והיחיד במינו הרב יוסף דוב סולובייצ'יק זצ"ל, שרבנו תלמידו המובהק. פועלו של רבנו שליטה לישיבה יומם ולילה, ואהבתו והערכתו על ידי ראשי הישיבה ותלמידיה המיוחדים במינם לאין ארוך. בורא עולם יוסיף כוח ואונים באריכות ימים ושנים להמשיך להנהיג ולהשפיע על ישיבתנו וכלל ישראל מתוך בריאות וברכה לרבנו ומשפחתו. ולאות הוקרה למען הישיבה, ראשיה ותלמידיה. יום ראשון בשבת, לסדר וימלא אותו רוח אלוקים בחוכמה, בתבונה ובדת ובכל מלאכה. 21 יום לחודש אדר, תשע"ז. מזל טוב. And now a moment that we have waited for so long. A thank you to Paul Glasser, to Maish Kranzler, to everyone who made this moment possible, to all who donated to dedicate a Sefer Torah for Rabbeinu Rav Schachter. It was difficult to figure out how to say thank you to Rav Schachter. But Chazal tell us there's a tradition that there are 613,000 letters in the Torah. There's 600,000, letters in the Torah representing Klal Yisrael. It's not for me to say thank you to Rav Schachter. It's not for just the Talmidim and the Yeshiva to say thank you to Rabbi Schachter. It's Klal Yisrael, the 600,000 letters that have been moved by Rav Schachter in the last 50 years. Between his tens of thousands of shiurim, his writing, and the work of his Talmidim, Rabbeinu Rav Schachter has taught Klal Yisrael, and as a very small token of Klal Yisrael's appreciation, we want to hand a Torah back to Rav Schachter. The Sefer Torah will be housed right behind Rav Schachter's seat in the Gluck Beit Midrash. We welcome the Sefer Torah to the stage, and then we'll dance the Torah and the Schachters and the Bermans and our new Musmakhim back to Gluck, to the Gluck Beit Midrash after the ceremony. We welcome the new Sefer Torah.
Never go. Ay, 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 mo.
Okay, Rabbi, you're up. You have your notes?
I want to thank first everybody for this tremendous covet. The main role of a rabbi is, like Moshe Rabbeinu says, you have to teach Torah to the Balabatim. The Medrash has a comment on the pasuk Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Ma'irosha Kihilos Yankiv, that a farmer came to the Rabbi and he complained, "You're a Gazlan, you stole the Torah from us. The Torah belongs to everybody. Ma'irosha Kihilos Yankiv. Why do only the Talmidei Chachamim keep the Torah?" The Rabbanim have to see to it that they share the Torah with everybody. The Balabatim are not prepared, so you have to explain to them. You shouldn't lower down when you teach the Torah to the Balabatim. You shouldn't water it down. You shouldn't lower it to a lower level. You should try to pick up the Balabatim to a higher level. They should be able to understand. They went to university. They went to graduate school, so they can understand. They have seichel. So the Rabbanim have to prepare. Rav Soloveitchik always used to complain that Rabbanim speak down to the Balabatim. You shouldn't speak down. You should speak up. You should get the Balabatim to understand. And the more you prepare your shiurim and your drushes, the better they certainly will be. Some Rabbanim just get up on Shabbos morning and they speak about politics, or they speak about the latest headlines in the New York Times. I think that's terrible. Some of the Balabatim, that's the only one word of Torah that they hear all week long is the drasha that the rabbi says on Shabbos morning. And the Balabatim are chalashing to hear Torah. When they hear authentic Torah, they enjoy it very much. So that we have to see to it that we prepare our shiurim and our drashas in such a way that we should inspire the Balabatim. Rabbi Soloveitchik used to point out that on the Matzeva of Rabbi Chaim, it doesn't say that he was Rosh Yeshiva in Volozhin. It doesn't say that he wrote a Sefer on the Rambam, all the big chidushim. It just says, Ish HaChesed. The role of the rabbi is to take care of all the inyonim tzedakah v'chesed in the community. The rabbi has to be the first one to donate, and he has to show the Balabatim how they all have to give. The rabbi has to be involved in all inyonim tzedakah v'chesed of the community. The Gemara has a concept of Adam Chashav Shiny. Strictly speaking, there is a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael, but if there's a Vayiro Ba'aretz, if there's a famine, Vayered Avram Mitzrayim, then the Gemara says you're permitted to leave Eretz Yisrael. Machlon de Kilyon and Elimelech left Eretz Yisrael, there was a famine, and they shouldn't have been punished. So the Rambam quotes the Gemara in Bava Basra, that the reason why they were punished, because they were Anoshim Chashuvim, and that's what it says in the Pasuk, Efrosim. Efrosim means Anoshim Chashuvim. Adam Chashav Shiny, Adam Chashav has to be Machmir on certain things, even if something is mutter. Everybody looks up to the Adam Chashuv, and the Balabatim assume they can do 10 madregas lower. So the rabbi is an Adam Chashuv. They used to say in the name of Rabbi Mital Zachan Levracha that when he learned the Merkas HaRav, and they learned as teenagers, when they used to learn Mishnah Berurah, and the Mishnah Berurah says, Bal Nefesh Yachmer Al Atzmo. So I said, Bal Nefesh Yachmer Al Atzmo, that goes on the Nazir, that goes on Rabbi Yanka Moshe Chalap, the Rosh Yeshiva, and Merkas HaRav. So he would make fun, Rabbi Amital would make fun. And now, every teenage boy who learns Mishnah Berurah says, Bal Nefesh Yachmer Al Atzmo, that means me. The boys are so arrogant, they think that they're on a madrega Bal Nefesh. That's Kolzman that you don't have smicha. But if you have smicha, you are an Adam Chashav Shiny. You have to be machmer. Bal Nefesh Yachmer Al Atzmo applies to you. And if you're not on the madrega, you have to put yourself on that madrega, because the Balabatim will do 10 madregas lower than what you're doing. The rabbi has to make sure that he's always in shul on time. He can't talk in the middle of davening. He should really come to shul before the zman of tefillah. He should put on his talis and film before the zman. The rabbi shouldn't look in the Sefer during Kriyas HaTorah, during Chazaras HaShatz. That's scandalous. He's going to look in the Sefer. So that's what he does for a living. So the Balabatim will think they can look in a newspaper. That's what they do for a living. They look up to see how the stocks are doing. It's not proper. It's not proper to look in the Sefer during Chazaras HaShatz. The rabbi has to dress properly on Shabbos, big day Shabbos, all day Shabbos, not just the morning of Shabbos, through Mincha on Shabbos afternoon, and the rabbi all week long has to dress properly. The Gemara says, why do they wear special begadim? They're not so learned. So if they wear big day rabbanis, if they wear nice bekavadik rabbanim, this will have a hashpah on them, and they'll act properly according to their position. All of the rabbanim have to continue to learn. Just because you have your graduate degree, you have your smicha, doesn't mean that you finished learning. You have to continue to learn. The Bali Musa always say that refers to human beings as mahalchim. Either a person progresses or he regresses. If he's not going to steig, he's not going to get stronger in learning, then he's going to regress. He's going to forget whatever he does learn. The rabbanim have to continue to learn with chavrusas, either over the telephone or by Skype, whatever. Listen to Shurim on the YU website. You have to continue to learning. You have to continue in your learning. Every so often you have a Rav who sees that he's so far advanced past his Balabatim, he talks it into himself that he's the Gadol Ador. So you got to be a rabbi somewhere in Georgia or in Tennessee. So Taki, you'll think you're mamish the Gadol Ador. You have to be careful. You have to continue learning b'charusa with your chaverim, and you have to keep everything into proper perspective. The rabbi shouldn't fall into gaiva. Rabbi Amar mentioned earlier that today we don't really have the real smicha. The Gemara says that the ability of the rabbanim mechutz la'aretz to function is based on shlichusai. We are the shluchim. Shlichusai the kamoi avdina. We have a principle in shlichus. We only apply shlucha shalodim kamaisa if the shlich is not mishana. The mishalech gave him instructions, and he has to do what the mishalech told him. If the mishalech told him to be mafresh echad mechamishim, he's going to be mafresh echad me'arboim. That's a shlich shishina b'shlichusai. We are shlichusai the kamoi. We have to be careful that we're not mishana. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Avodas Yom Kippurim, what is quoting the Mishnayos and Yuma, that bizman ba'isheni tzotz haminus b'Yisrael, and that's why they had to be mashbia, the Kohen Gadol, that you are shluchenu, shliach bezin, and they had him swear, shalot tishana dov v'mikol ma she'amarnu lecho. You shouldn't change anything, shouldn't be mishana. Remember when we were learning that Mishnah, Rabbi Soloveitchik pointed out, he gets the impression from the Mishnah that the Kohen Gadol didn't have to say Amen. They could be mashbia him bal korchai. because this is neged to all of Klal Yisrael. I want to be mashbia, the Musmakhim, shelo tishana dov hamikol mashal amaratem by Yeshiva. You have to continue according to the traditions that you picked up here in the Yeshiva. The Gemara says in Brachas that when the Talmidei Chachamim would leave the Yeshiva, they would give each other a bracha, quoting the pasuk in Tehillim, Alufeinu misabolam ein peretz vein yotzes vein tzvacha b'chor v'oseinu. And what they meant was, Shelo yehei lanu talmid hamakdiach tafshila barabim b'hi rotzain, that the Musmakhim should continue in the shlichus sayu, shlichus de kamoi, shouldn't be mishanim b'kol mashal amaratem by Yeshiva. And we should be able to give each other this bracha, she'ein lanu talmid makdiach tafshila barabim. Mazel tov to all of you.
Please turn your attention back to the video screen.
My father had always been a learned person. He was always learning a lot.
My son was in RIETS gaining Semikhah. If he was there, I figured that's a good place for me to be as well.
It's not that often that you find stuff out about your family in class.
We were taking a course in contemporary halacha. The subject of prenuptial agreements came up.
He was talking about how 30 years ago, no one would have done the halachic prenup. It just wasn't so common.
I mentioned that I had gotten one 30 years earlier.
Which was not the normal thing to find out in class.
And he was completely in shock. He thought he knew everything about me.
Another funny moment.
I was in a class with him on a Monday.
And he gives me a call after class asking me where I was.
He didn't show up.
And it turns out I was going to an NC Shabbaton, which he knew but had forgotten.
His father calls him and says, "Where are you?"
I asked, how was the class? He's like, "Oh, it was great. And I signed you in on the sign-in sheet."
I did not. That would be dishonest.
In this past year, I've realized you continually get smicha. The real world lives in grays that lives in between the black and white on the paper. You constantly need to keep on learning. And so I don't feel like this is an end for us. I don't feel like this is even a beginning for us. It's part of the process.
It offered me the opportunity to learn much more than I could on my own. I just think that the broad educational experience was something that really enhanced me as being a practicing Jew.
RIETS gives unparalleled options.
RIETS, I can't really say enough good things about it.
Being able to fuse this constantly changing modern world with this tradition that we've had for so long and living in that tension. And it's through that tension that we can create something that can really be transformative for the Orthodox Jewish experience.
One of the most wonderful programs that RIETS offers our Musmakhim who are serving in the pulpit is Rabbi J.J. Schachter's Yarchei Kala. It was there 15 years ago that I think I met our next speaker and knew that he was destined to great things. It is now my pleasure and honor to call to the podium for the first time the president-elect of the Rabbi Isaac Elchanan Theological Seminary and Yeshiva University, Rabbi Dr. Ari Berman. Rabbi Berman.
It is my honor to stand here today among the distinguished leaders and Rabbanim of Yeshivat Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan, to stand in the presence of President Richard Joel, to whom I am deeply grateful, not just for the opportunity to speak today, but for his graciousness and kindness in assisting me in every step of the way during this time of transition. It's an honor to be in the presence of our past president and Rosh HaYeshiva, Rabbi Dr. Norman Lamb, our Rosh HaYeshiva, the heart and soul of our rabbinic program, who faithfully and lovingly transmits the Torah Emet to our students, our professional team, including the Dean of RIETS, Rabbi Menachem Penner, his staff, the rabbis and teachers of the CJF, and the entire administration of Yeshiva University, who together with the lay leadership, the Board of RIETS, under the chairmanship of Rabbi Joel Schreiber, work tirelessly and tenaciously to provide our students with the tools for success. It is certainly a distinct honor and privilege to participate in the Chag HaSemikhah with our illustrious honorees. This event that I'll remember for the rest of my life, to be here in honor of Hershel Schachter and my uncle, Rabbi Julius Berman. And most especially this afternoon, it's a great honor to stand before you, our dear Talmidim. You are our joy and our treasure. You have immersed yourselves these past years in the Mayim Shel Torah, an arduous study and professional training. Your energy and vitality, your goodness and fine character, your life choices and life ambitions give us all enormous pride. Mazal Tov on reaching this important milestone in your lives. Over the past number of months, I've had the great pleasure of meeting a number of our fine Musmakhim. Allow me to share with you one particular encounter. A number of weeks ago, I was introduced to a young man, and I asked him to tell me a little bit about his experiences. Tell me what it's like to study at RIETS. He replied by telling me about a very difficult personal situation that arose several years ago. Even with the distance of time, it was clear that the situation was too emotionally charged for him to describe in detail. But whatever the exact circumstances, the situation required expert halachic guidance. So he approached his Rabbi, one of the senior Rosh Yeshiva in this institution, told him about his personal problem, and asked him for his counsel. Do you know what his response was? The young man asked me. My Rebbe began to cry. It was one of the darkest moments in my life. There wasn't much that anyone could give me, but he gave me his tears. My family and I look back on that difficult time with much grief and regret, but completely intertwined with that experience is the memory of a rabbi who both answered my she'elah and honored my pain. We will never forget that as long as we live. This is the story of a person whose life was transformed by an encounter with a rabbinic leader. And it raises a broader question. What does it mean to be a rabbi? What does it take for a rabbi to be a transformative force in this world? I suggest that the answer may lie in an interesting Talmudic teaching. The Torah commands, V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, love the Lord your God. While this verse seems straightforward, the Gemara in Yoma cites a rabbinic interpretation that uncovers a new and additional layer. The Tanya, we learn in the Breita, V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha, she'eshem shamayim mitahev al yadcha. What does it mean to love the Lord your God, that the name of God should become beloved through you? How can a mere human being make God's name even more beloved? The Breita continues, she'ekore v'shoneh, you should read Torah and learn Mishnah. Mashamesh Talmidei Chachamim, serve Torah scholars. V'hemaso matno benachat im habriot, and be pleasant with people in all of one's interactions. Such a person makes the name of God even more beloved in this world. Now, there's a debate amongst the commentaries exactly how to understand this teaching. The simple reading of the Breita, which appears to be accepted by all of the Rishonim who simply cite the Breita verbatim, is that it is addressed to each person as part of the command to love your God, and as such applies to each and every individual. Rambam, however, in codifying this law, specifically applies it to an Adam Gadol Batorah, a Chacham, a sage. And he removes it from the context of the mitzvah of loving God, instead placing it in the context of the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem, sanctifying God's name in this world. In fact, Rambam develops an important idea that this mitzvah fluctuates according to the sage's greatness. Hakol lefi gadlo shel chacham. Now, this is part of a broader theme, some of which Rav Schachter touched on in relating to the Gemara, but also a broader theme that runs throughout Rambam's works about the notion of a chacham. But for the moment, I only wish to highlight that according to Rambam, the chacham is not only required to abide by a higher standard, but he is also distinguished by a unique set of opportunities. In this case, the one who is identified and recognized as a chacham has a unique opportunity to sanctify God's name in this world. People judge religion by its adherents. Their experiences of Judaism, Torah, and Hashem are shaped and inspired by their interactions with his messengers. On some level, this applies to all of us who are clearly identified and marked as Jews, but even more so when it comes to rabbis. As such, the concept of receiving smichah today carries with it great consequences. For each of you today who are being publicly recognized as Musmakhim are not just being rewarded for your years of study and the knowledge you have amassed, but you're also being granted an enormous opportunity to make a huge impact in the world in which we live. How can you capitalize on this opportunity? How can you effectively utilize your strengths to sanctify God's name in this world? Using the Breita as a homiletic guide, I'd like to suggest a three-pronged strategy. The first suggestion is to speak with chachma, with wisdom. And to do this, you must learn deeply. Shehei koreh v'shoneh. Your greatest resource is the Torah. Your greatest strength is that you represent the 3,000-year-old tradition. You must be sure to do so judiciously and authentically. And so you must be learned. You have already succeeded in completing a rigorous process of smichah that required you to have displayed a mastery of Torah, but as Rav Schachter just said before, you must continue your studies. The vistas of Torah are vast and deep, and you must explore them with great passion and vigor. But more than just developing as lamdanim, as rabbis, you will also need to develop a deep understanding of the broader world and modern reality. You will need to speak directly to the hopes and concerns of this generation. In the words of Matthew Arnold, to the thoughts which make the furniture of their minds, and directly relate to the specific challenges and opportunities of our times. Now, this may sometimes require you to challenge some elements of contemporary culture, but to be an effective and respected countercultural voice, as opposed to one who is written off as simply out of touch with reality, you need to acquire a deep familiarity with the intellectual and cultural metzias of our day. In applying Torah to reality, there are two requirements in order for one to speak with chachma. One, to know the Torah, and two, to know reality. The second suggestion is that you must act with anava, with humility. U'mishamesh talmidei chachamim. Know what you know, and know what you do not know. As the Mishnah says, the wise man is not the one who knows everything, but the one who continuously learns from others. Be secure in yourself to seek advice and counsel. This is, of course, true in respect to your rabbis, teachers, and peers. You have a large support network here at Yeshiva University that will always be ready to assist you. I myself, all throughout my years in the rabbinate until today, have been deeply blessed with the ability to turn to my rabbis and teachers at yeshiva as resources and guides who have helped me think through complex and consequential challenges. But it's also true of your lay leadership, parents, and students. Our community is filled with thoughtful professionals, sensitive parents, and people of substance with a wealth of experience. They have much to offer and much from which you can learn. Take advantage of their insights. Learn from their life lessons. They are not just your parishioners, they are also your partners. You will need to lead and speak with wisdom, but also come to your new role with the humility to learn from all those around you. Impart chachma, exude anava. The third suggestion is to act with ahava. Vahi masa'o matno benachat im habriot. I only began to generally understand the possibility of loving someone outside of one's family as oneself after working as a rabbi. For my community became my extended family. Working with them day and night, building our shul, facing deficits and challenges, formulating ambitious plans for expansion and success, grieving with them over the loss of a loved one, adding a name to a sick child who suddenly fell perilously ill, or celebrating the birth of a child to a couple who previously thought that they would never have children. I thought of them in my personal tefillot, spent sleepless nights considering ways to ease their troubles, and felt true joy upon hearing about their successes and triumphs. This too is what you've learned by word and by example from your Rabbeim and teachers at yeshiva, that the job of the rabbi, educator, and spiritual guide is to love your students and your congregants, to be moved by them and inspired by them. If you are to be rabbis, you must impart chachma, exude anava, but you must live with ahava, with love. And if you do so, you will make God's name more beloved in this world. You, our dear Talmidim, have an enormous gift, an enormous opportunity. And this is especially true today. There are those who think that in today's climate of skeptical nihilism and personal autonomy, in which claims to authority or transformative leadership are mocked, that the role of the rabbi, educator, and spiritual guide is diminished. But in truth, the opposite is the case. It is even more necessary today. People naturally seek meaning and purpose. They will always find their role models and sources of inspiration. The question is whether they'll find it outside of our tradition or within our tradition. The rabbi is certainly needed, but what kind of rabbi? What does it take for a rabbi to be a transformative force in this world? Today, perhaps more than ever before, it is to embrace the formula of chachma, anava, and ahava. It is the rabbi who speaks with sophistication and humility, who views the Jewish world not through the prism of allies and adversaries, but of partners and potential partners. It is the rabbi who, when faced with a halachic dilemma, responds not only to the question, but also to the person, who not only has the depth of knowledge to know the answers, but also the humanity to cry. It is the rabbi who is not fueled by fury or self-righteousness, but by love, care, and concern. It is this kind of rabbi who is deeply needed in our world. This is your gift, and this is your opportunity. You as rabbis, educators, and spiritual guides can show by word and deed that personal engagement with Torah and mitzvot, that living a life that accents service over entitlements, giving as opposed to receiving, a life in which one participates in the incredible unfolding story of the Jewish people and seeks the betterment to the broader society, that such a life is filled with great meaning, purpose, and true joy. You can bring God into this world. you can sanctify his name and sanctify the lives of all those around you. What a gift. What a bracha. Ashrecha. What an inspiring and meaningful way to challenge your energies and devote your unique talents and skills. Let me close then with a bracha mentioned at the end of the Breita according to the Girsa of the Rosh. At the end of the Breita, we're told that if one behaves with chachma, anava, and ahava, ma briot, omrot olav. What will people say about such a person? Ashrei aviv, ashrei imo, ashrei rabo. Fortunate is his father, his mother, and his teacher who taught him Torah. And let me take this moment to wish a mazel tov to all of the wonderful fathers and mothers, the grandfathers and grandmothers, all who have raised you and nurtured you and are so proud of you, are so proud to see you reach this moment in your lives. To your wives, who are your partners in this incredible journey, and to the Rabbeim, how meaningful this moment must be for all of you to see your Talmidim reach this stage in their lives. Ashrei aviv, ashrei imo, ashrei rabo. Ru'u kama na'im derachav, kama mutukanim ma'asav. Alav ha'katuv omer, vayomer li, avdi ata Yisrael, asher b'cha et pe'er. See how pleasant are his ways. See how proper are his deeds. It's about him that God says, you are my servant Israel, in whom I will be glorified. May the Navi's words of praise be said about you, our Talmidim as well. May you continue to be a source of great pride to our yeshiva and to your families. May you be a blessing to all those with whom you come into contact. And through your actions, may God's name become even more beloved in this world. We need you. The world needs you. Alu v'hatzlichu. Rise up and find great success.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to meet the next generation of Jewish leaders. It is a great privilege to walk here along Amsterdam Avenue and see the banners of the previous Chag HaSemikhahs and to realize that those who looked in that picture as Talmidim, as young men, are today leading the Jewish community. And today we get to see forward. We get to see what the future of the community is like. We get to see the faces, and for so many of you out there, it is your children and your grandchildren who are the future of our community and our Musmakhim of our yeshiva. We begin by recognizing Musmakhim celebrating their ordination today in Eretz Yisrael and in other places around the world who are unable to be with us today. We want to take a moment to thank Rabbi Asaf Bednarsh, who's in from Eretz Yisrael, and to apologize for Rabbi Miller, whose flight, unfortunately, some things don't change, was delayed from Eretz Yisrael, will not be able to be here today, but will celebrate with us on June 8th, when we will celebrate in Eretz Yisrael with those Musmakhim who are in Eretz Yisrael. And we will dedicate a second Sefer Torah in memory of Rav Lichtenstein Zatzal, to be housed there. One Sefer Torah to be added to our Beis Medrash here, and one to be housed in Yerushalayim. Please give your attention to the video with the faces of those in Eretz Yisrael. Some made it in. To see that a few of them made it in. They're not their body doubles. They're not their stunt doubles. A few of them are here. And it's great to have you here. As we're about to invite each Musmach to come up to the stage to be called Rabbi in front of their families, in front of their Rosh Yeshiva, I just give a bracha to all of you. Many years ago, I was inspired by a speech given at this very podium by Rabbi Lamb. One of Rabbi Lamb's most famous drushos was about the transition from Eliyahu to Elisha, from teacher to student. And I just want to add one word to that as a word of bracha to you. As Eliyahu is about to go up into Shemayim, Elisha asks him for something quite unbelievable. B'terem elakach me'imach, before you are taken, Vayomer Elisha, he says, what is one thing that you want before I go? Vayomer Elisha, the only thing I want is to be double what you were. Double? The chutzpah? Eliyahu? Double Eliyahu? The Malbim says a beautiful thing. He says what Elisha asked his teacher Eliyahu was to be all that Eliyahu was, and yet to still be himself. Not to be doubly great, but to be able to take everything that Eliyahu was and to be able to pass that to his students with his own personality. Ubazeh yihielo, says the Malbim Pishnayim, Ruach Atzmo, the Ruach Eliyahu. May you, as you're called up to this stage and you shake the hand of Rabbanim, the Rabbanim are going to stay on stage, but you're going to keep walking. The Rabbanim are going to pass to you, and they have passed to you everything that they could, and you should continue to turn to them for many years, for many shilas, for much advice. They're here for you. But now it's for you to take your unique personalities, your unique kochos, and to march that Torah onto the streets, to march it, as we will in just a moment, onto Amsterdam Avenue. It is now our privilege to invite each Musmach here with us today to come onto stage to be congratulated by the President-elect, and your Rosh Yeshiva. It is my pleasure to call upon my dear colleague who has negotiated the rigorous requirements of smicha with each and every one of you. What would we be without Rabbi Chaim Bronstein, the administrator? Of the Rabbi Isaac Elchanan Theological Seminary. Who would have actually completed smicha without somehow meeting with Rabbi Bronstein. Rabbi Bronstein will announce the first group of names. We begin with 3 Rabbanim who have received Yadin Smicha, which is awarded to those students who have previously received the traditional Yora Smicha and who now have earned an additional Smicha in Jewish jurisprudence. After studying for numerous years in our Kol Lahora, in the name of Rabbi Lamb, under the tutelage of Rabbi J. David Bleich and Rabbi Mordechai Willig, and with the help, of course, of Rabbi Yonah Rees. President Joel and Rosh Yeshiva, please join me in congratulating our Yadin Musmakhim as they come to the stage. Rabbi Bronstein.
HaRav Yisrael Ashen, HaRav Elchanan Pupko, HaRav Yosef Chaim Yanitz,
the 5777 Tafshin Ayin Zayin class of Yora Musmakhim of Yeshivas Rabbeinu Yitzchak Elchanan.
Rav Moshe Abrams, Rav Josh Abramson, Rav Ari Ackerman, Rav Gershon Albert, Rav Avi Anderson, Rav Jared Anstandig, Rav Adam Ariel, Rav Moshe Aziz, Rav Brian Chusky, Rav Natan Brownstein, Rav Jacob Berman, Rav Yoni Dansker, Rav Meir Cohen, Rav Sammy Bergman, Rav Ari Lamb, Rav Tuvia Meir Brander, Rav Noam Friedman, Rav Shaya First, HaRav Dr. Abraham Borenstein, Rav David Block, Rav Ari Clark, Rav Mark Glass, Rav Willie Bull, Rav Don Moshe Cohen, Rav Eliezer Barani, Rav Matthew Fagan, Rav Natan Farber, Rav Ari Federgrun, Rav Aaron Fleckscher, Rav Joshua Elsant, Rav Kolev Rafael Fisher, Rav Daniel Goldberg, Rav Yaakov Danishevsky, Rav Adam Friedman, Rav Jonathan Bloom, Rav Andrew Israel, Rav Raphael Glickman. It is now my pleasure to call upon my distinguished colleague, Rabbi Larry Rothwax, the Director of Professional Rabbinics at RIETS, to continue with the names of the Musmakhim.
Rav Michael Honig, Rav Dov Karp, Yeshua Daniel Klein, Rav Rafal Karlin, Rav Yossi Jacobs, Rav Scott Hoberman, Rav Jonathan Fruchter, Rav Yoel Epstein, Rav Yechiel Fuchs, Rav Yeshayahu Ginsberg, Rav Jason Grossman, Rav Yosef Gottesman, Rav Moshe Genak, Rav Shmuel Goldstein, Rav Noach Goldstein, Rav Dovi Hachbaum, Rav Josh Maslow, HaRav Yoni Mandelstam, HaRav Ari Lipsky, HaRav Hart Levine, HaRav Simcha Lauer, HaRav Eliron Levinson, HaRav Yaakov Lassen, HaRav Moshe Ruby, HaRav Nuriel Klinger, HaRav Mordechai Kornbluth, HaRav Yosef Kornbluth, HaRav Yehuda Kravitz, HaRav Shmuel Kresh, HaRav Michael Max, HaRav Elon Meltzer, HaRav Yair Menchel. It is now my pleasure to call on my distinguished colleague, Rabbi Neil Turk, the Director of Mental Health Services at RIETS, to call upon the final list of Musmakhim.
HaRav Ari Mirzov. HaRav Ben Kurzer. Stephen. HaRav Shlomo Leib Nemitz. HaRav Yechiel Newberger. HaRav Mordechai Prus. HaRav Ari Brzezinski. HaRav Yitzchak Radner. HaRav Sam Reinstein.
Avi Mori, Rabbi Alvin Reinstein.
HaRav Isaiah J. Rothstein. HaRav Yisrael Meir Rosenzweig. HaRav Alex Ozar. HaRav David Roth. HaRav Itamar Rosenzweig. HaRav Willie Roth. HaRav Ashi Schreier. HaRav Elliot Schreier. HaRav Emmanuel Sanders. HaRav Jared Rosenfeld. HaRav Uri Schneider. HaRav Shmuley Segal. HaRav Eli Schwartz. HaRav Eli Shestak. HaRav Mordechai Schickman. HaRav Moshe Spira. HaRav Shaul Seidler Feller. HaRav Yaakov Taubis. HaRav Sam Taylor. HaRav David Stein. HaRav David Stein. HaRav David Strauss. HaRav Jason Strauss. HaRav Eli Wagner. HaRav Moshe Watson. HaRav Gabi Weinberg. HaRav Yosef Weinberger. HaRav Eli Wiesenfeld. HaRav Mark Weingarten. HaRav Michael Weingarten. HaRav Mordechai Weisel. HaRav Simon Tov Yanetz. You're it. HaRav Dani Zuckerman.
The 5777 class of Musmakhim from the Rabbi Elchanan Theological Seminary.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in wishing a mazel tov to this year's class. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
While you're waiting, I need to take my phone. Go ahead. You go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You're on.
In just a few moments, at the conclusion of the ceremony, we will proceed outside to dance on Amsterdam Avenue with our new Musmakhim and our new Sefer Torah. We will be heading straight from Lamport Auditorium to the Jacob and Drazel Gluck Center for Jewish Study for the Hachnasas Sefer Torah. Please give your close attention to our herald, Rabbi Josh Joseph, for further instructions. After the dancing, the Musmakhim and ticketed guests are invited to a reception in the Max Stern Athletic Center across the street. To mark this occasion, each Musmach will receive 2 new Svarim by Rav Schachter Shlita. These and many other titles of the RIETS press will be available for sale at the reception. There will be a minyan for Mincha in the Rubin Shul, which is located on the floor above the Athletic Center at approximately 3 p.m. Rabbi Penner.
Before we conclude, I have to thank and single out a number of people amongst the army of professionals and volunteers who have helped make this day possible. For their vision and oversight, President Richard Joel, Rabbi Joel Schreiber, and the entire board, thank you. For the event coordination, Menachem Lewin, Aliza Barinholtz, Paul Glasser, and Yoni Cohen for helping get rid of all of the snow. To Joe Cook and his team, you cannot imagine what the campus looked like on Friday and how it has been cleared, Baruch Hashem, for today. We want to thank everyone from the RIETS office. We want to thank all those who worked on the Sefer Torah project and the RIETS dinner, the community event coordination, Rabbi Zev Goldberg, Rabbi Yaakov Glasser, and Julie Schreier. For the dinner tonight, a special thank you to Rabbi Mark Merrill, who hasn't been thanked yet, but thank you so much for everything that you did. Thank Rabbi Caleb Fisher and Mazel Tov to Avi Oken, who helped so much with all the Musmakhim. To Chazki Naor and Michael Alteras, and especially to Rabbi Yosef Kalinsky, thank you so much. I want to thank everyone from communications. A special thank you for those incredible videos to David Kabinski. I want to thank Karen Simon, Rabbi Ronald Schwartzberg for help with our rabbinic alumni and anniversary classes, facilities, events, security, production. To thank Eitan Katz and his team. And most of all, to thank the Ribono Shel Olam. She'achiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. You have answered all of our heartfelt tefillos, and there were a lot of them, that this day should be beautiful, sunny, and a success. And what a Kiddush Hashem. Thank you, Ribono Shel Olam, for letting us have this moment together. Thank you so much. Before we sing Hatikvah and formally end the program, we ask that any parents who are not in the procession but have children at the family viewing exit to now pick up their children to check them out. We have flags for all the kids for the Achnas Sefer Torah, so please feel free. Everyone else should stay in their seats. But if you have a child in the child care, and you want to get them ready for the Achnasas Sefer Torah, please step out now. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join in the singing of Atikva, to be led by Rabbi Moshe Tesson, Director of the Sephardic Community Program and faculty member of the Philip and Sarah Bell School of Jewish Music.
בלבב פנימה נפש יהודי הומיה ולפת מזרח קדימה עין לציון Sophia, od lov da tikvatenu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liot am chofshi be'aretzenu. Eretz Zion Yerushalayim Liot am chofshi be'aretzenu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim.
Mr. President, this now concludes the Chag HaSemikhah ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you please take your seats? Wait. Oh. Do not take your seats. Our celebration will continue with dancing on Amsterdam Avenue as the Sefer Torah makes its way to its new home in the Jacob and Drazel Gluck Center Beit Midrash. Following the dancing and the Achnasas Sefer Torah in the Gluck Beis Medrash, we cordially invite you to a reception in honor of the Musmakhim and the anniversary classes in the Max Stern Athletic Center on Amsterdam Avenue and 185th Street. There will be mincha at approximately 3 p.m. in the Rubin Shul above the Athletic Center. Please remain with your seats. See what I did there? That's good rabbinics. Don't sit, but with your seats until all the participants of the Processional have left the auditorium. And please remember that this evening, our dinner for the Rabbi Elchanan Theological Seminary will take place at 6 p.m. at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. We now invite our guests of honor, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Schachter, and Rabbi and Mrs. Berman, to escort the Sefer Torah as it leads our Musmakhim out of Lamport Auditorium.
King Mitziyah, takes his eye round, Bar Hashem Yerushalayim.